Welcome back to Progress Therapy. My name is Matt, one of the therapists here. Today we're going to talk about borderline personality disorder and ADHD. That's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. These are two DSM-5 diagnoses that aren't often thought about together. They also have two different frontline treatments. For BPD, or borderline personality disorder, the main treatment is usually dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT. And for ADHD, it's often medication or medication management. However, these two diagnoses, BPD and ADHD, may have more in common than you think. However, before we dig into these topics, if you haven't done so already, please do go ahead and subscribe down below and hit the thumbs up button on this video. So before we dive into the similarities, let's start with the basics. What exactly is borderline personality disorder? On your screen, you're going to see a snippet taken from the Mayo Clinic website. The Mayo Clinic defines borderline personality disorder like this: a mental health disorder that impacts the way you think and feel about yourself and others, causing problems functioning in everyday life. It includes self-image, difficulty managing emotions and behavior, and a pattern of unstable relationships. And the symptoms they list on the Mayo Clinic website are as follows: a pattern of unstable, intense relationships, such as idealizing someone one moment and then suddenly believing the person doesn't care enough or is cruel. Rapid changes in self-identity and self-image that include shifting goals and values, and seeing yourself as bad or as if you don't exist at all. Periods of stress-related paranoia and loss of contact with reality, lasting from a few minutes to a few hours. Impulsive and risky behavior, such as gambling, reckless driving, unsafe sex, spending sprees, binge eating or drug abuse, or sabotaging success by suddenly quitting a job or ending a positive relationship. Suicidal threats or behavior or self-injury, often in response to fear of separation or rejection. Wide mood swings lasting from a few hours to a few days, which can include intense happiness, irritability, shame, or anxiety. Ongoing feelings of emptiness. Inappropriate, intense anger, such as frequently losing your temper, being sarcastic or bitter, or having physical fights. Now, these are the symptoms listed on the Mayo Clinic website, and this is just a list of symptoms. It's just that. Not everyone with borderline personality disorder is going to have these symptoms, and not everyone who has these symptoms is going to have borderline personality disorder. This is why it's very helpful to talk to a therapist, a professional, when you're thinking about these types of things. And this video is for informational purposes only. However, this gives us a decent snapshot of borderline personality disorder. All right, let's talk about ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The snippet you're going to see is also from the Mayo Clinic website, and they define ADHD as follows: a mental health disorder that includes a combination of persistent problems such as difficulty paying attention, hyperactivity, and impulsive behavior. Adult ADHD can lead to unstable relationships, poor work or school performance, low self-esteem, and other problems. And then they go on to list several symptoms as well. They include impulsiveness, disorganization and problems prioritizing, poor time management skills, problems focusing on a task, trouble multitasking, excessive activity or restlessness, poor planning, low frustration tolerance, frequent mood swings, problems following through and completing tasks, hot temper, and trouble coping with stress. Now, just as with borderline personality disorder, not everyone who has ADHD is going to experience these symptoms, and not everyone with these symptoms is going to have ADHD. Now, again, this gives us a decent snapshot of ADHD. Now, it's important to note that on the website, Mayo Clinic states that what we just read is for adult ADHD. All right, so right now we're talking about adults. So we're talking about BPD and ADHD. We're seeing what each of those look like and what the symptoms are. So then what's the problem? What is it about BPD and ADHD that we want to talk about today? Well, let's start by looking at the similarities between the two diagnoses. And there's actually quite a few. We won't go through all the similarities today. And this video's intention is really to help you understand and to see that there actually are a lot of similarities. But a couple that are worth noting are the unstable relationships and impulsivity. These are both common between ADHD and BPD. Now, if you want to see a really awesome infographic, I'm actually going to put it up on the screen. This is by Dr. Dr. Megan Ann Neff. It's a Venn diagram that highlights ADHD, BPD, and talks about the similarities. I'm gonna link Dr. Neff's information down below in the description. This infographic is really, really awesome. And you can see there's a lot more similarities than one might be aware of. So then the issue we really wanna think about is one of treatment. So if we don't have a good grasp on the differences and similarities between these two diagnoses, someone might not receive treatment that could potentially be very, very helpful. And this is more so the case with ADHD. For a borderline personality disorder, the frontline treatment is DBT. This is a non-medication based treatment that is shown to be really effective. And there really isn't much debate about that. If you have BPD, you're often recommended DBT. However, if you have ADHD, you're often recommended medication management. DBT is not often on the forefront of a provider's mind. However, considering the similarities between these two diagnoses, DBT is actually showing to be effective for ADHD. So we really want to highlight that DBT can be helpful for both BPD and ADHD. And research is showing that this is an effective treatment. And the reason why I made this video is because not many people are talking about the similarities between ADHD and BPD. We can actually get tunnel vision. If we get diagnosed with BPD, we might go all in on the BPD diagnosis. If we get diagnosed with ADHD, we might go all in on that as well. Now, I think it's also important to note that BPD and ADHD can exist together. You can have both. You can have one or the other. That being said, I do find that people with ADHD are not often presented with the option of DBT, which is an effective non-medication based treatment, and research is beginning to support this. Also, I want you to know that this video is based off of a newsletter that we publish that comes out consistently, talking about all sorts of topics just like this. If you'd like to subscribe to that, it is free. The link is down below in the description. Anyway, we look forward to seeing you soon.